Hey friends, and welcome back to English Podcast for Listening and Speaking. Have you ever felt like your speaking is just stuck? That no matter how much you study, it doesn't seem to improve? Well, today, we're going to gently explore 5 clear reasons why your spoken English might not be improving, and more importantly, how you can truly begin to fix them. This episode will be especially helpful if you're an IELTS student, or simply anyone looking to learn English in a calm, story-rich, and deeply personal way. If this episode helps you, I'd love if you liked, subscribed, or left a kind comment below, perhaps even suggesting a topic you'd like us to discuss next. And please, do stay until the very end, as we have so much to uncover together. So, let's dive into our first reason why your spoken English might feel stuck, and it's something incredibly common, often overlooked: low motivation. Think about it. For many of us, English started as a school subject, something we were made to study, perhaps to pass an exam. Or maybe you're currently preparing for something like IELTS, and the pressure makes English feel less like a joyful journey and more like a heavy burden. When learning feels like a chore, when it's just another thing on your to-do list, your heart isn't fully in it, is it? And when your heart isn't in it, your brain isn't fully engaged either. This lack of genuine enjoyment or interest slowly but surely drains your energy, and that directly impacts your performance. You might sit down to study, but your mind wanders, or you feel exhausted before you even begin. It's like trying to push a car uphill when the brakes are on. It's incredibly difficult and ultimately, you don't go very far. So, how do we gently release those brakes and find that inner drive again? The first step is to shift your mindset. Can you find a way to truly enjoy English, even just a little bit? Perhaps it's not about memorizing lists, but about discovering a beautiful song, watching a captivating movie, or reading a fascinating book in English. Find what sparks joy for you, and allow yourself to explore that. Another wonderful solution is to connect with others. English, at its heart, is a language of connection. Maybe you could join an online community where people share their language learning journeys, or if possible, even plan a future trip to an English-speaking country. Imagining yourself ordering coffee in London or chatting with a local in New York can be a powerful motivator, transforming English from an abstract concept into a tangible tool for amazing experiences. Setting clear, motivating goals can also be incredibly powerful. If exams like IELTS are your path, embrace them not as a burden, but as stepping stones to a larger dream, perhaps studying abroad, or a new career opportunity. These specific goals can provide a clear direction and a sense of accomplishment as you work towards them. And sometimes, a little retail therapy can actually work wonders for your motivation. Seriously, buying a new, beautiful English book, or investing in an online course that truly excites you, can provide a wonderful dopamine boost. It signals to your brain that this is important, this is new, and it's worth investing in. The novelty alone can reignite your enthusiasm. Speaking of online courses, they can be incredibly flexible and empowering. The beauty of a good online course is that it often allows you to control your pace. You can study when you feel most refreshed, delve deeper into topics that interest you, and really take ownership of your learning. This self-paced control can build a profound sense of confidence and make the entire process feel less like a rigid school lesson and more like a personal adventure, tailored just for you. Remember, motivation isn't a constant flame, it flickers. But by making these small, gentle shifts in how you approach English, you can keep that flame alive and even make it burn brighter. Okay. So once we've gently nudged our motivation back into place, let's talk about something equally crucial: how we actually study. Many of us fall into a common trap. We get these long lists of vocabulary words, maybe a thick grammar book. And we sit there, trying to memorize everything in isolation. Word by word, rule by rule. It feels like the right way, doesn't it? Because that's what we often did in school. But here's the quiet truth. It's often not very effective for real language acquisition. These one-size-fits-all methods, they might work for a test in the short term, but they don't truly embed the language into your mind in a way that feels natural for speaking. It's like learning to identify every single brick, but never seeing the beautiful house they build. So, what if we tried something different? Something that feels more organic, more like how we learned our first language. I want to share a 3-step method that many polyglots, people who speak many languages, find incredibly powerful. Let's call it the context, zoom in, zoom out method. Step 1 is context. Imagine you're discovering a treasure map. You don't just pick up one word, you see it in its natural environment. This means immersing yourself in English that you enjoy. It could be a short story, a podcast like this one, an episode of your favorite TV show, or even a news article. The key here is not to stop and look up every single word. Just let the language wash over you. Absorb the overall meaning. Notice how words interact, how sentences are formed. This is about seeing the language alive, in its natural habitat. Once you've had that initial exposure, that first pass, then comes zoom in. Now, you go back to that same material, but this time, you focus. Perhaps there was a phrase, a particular word, or a grammatical structure that caught your attention, or that you felt you almost understood. This is when you pick it apart. Use a good dictionary, a reliable grammar resource, or even a quick online search. Understand the precise meaning, the nuances, how it's used. This is your moment of detailed discovery, like looking through a magnifying glass at a single, beautiful detail on your treasure map. And finally, the crucial third step, zoom out. This is where the magic happens. After you've zoomed in and understood the specific details, go back to that original source material again. Reread the passage, re-listen to the podcast, re-watch the scene. But this time, you're not just passively listening. You're actively looking for how that specific word or grammar point fits into the bigger picture. You'll notice it more clearly. It will suddenly make more sense in context. It's like understanding the single detail, and then seeing how it contributes to the entire grand design of the house, or the full picture of the treasure map. This isn't about rote memorization. It's about active learning. It's about curiosity, discovery, and truly making the language your own. You're not just passively receiving information, you're engaging with it. And with each cycle of context, zoom in, and zoom out, you're reinforcing that knowledge, making it stick, and building those neural pathways that allow you to retrieve and use the language naturally in your own speaking. Remember, learning a language is an active journey, not a passive reception. Consistent practice and review become an organic part of this cyclical process, helping you truly master what you're discovering. So, we've talked about finding our motivation, and we've explored a more effective way to study, the context, zoom in, zoom out method. But here's where many of us still get stuck, even with the best intentions and the smartest study techniques. It's reason number 3, not enough practice. It sounds simple, doesn't it? But it's profoundly important. We can spend hours, days, weeks studying English, listening to podcasts, reading articles, diligently going through our vocabulary and grammar. And we feel like we're making progress because we're learning so much. But then, when it comes time to actually speak the words just don't come out. Or they come out haltingly, awkwardly. It's like this. You can read every single book ever written about swimming. You can study the perfect stroke, understand the physics of buoyancy, learn about breathing techniques, and even memorize the history of Olympic swimmers. You could become an absolute expert on the theory of swimming. But would that mean you could jump into the deep end of a pool and effortlessly glide through the water? Probably not, right? Not unless you actually got in the water and started moving your body, feeling the water, experimenting, making splashes, and yes, sometimes even swallowing a bit of water. Language is exactly the same. Studying is like reading the book. Practice is like jumping into the pool. You have to activate the knowledge. You have to use the language. Your brain needs to build those pathways not just for understanding but for producing. So, the solution to this is beautifully straightforward, though it requires consistency. We need to balance our study time with dedicated, consistent practice time. Think of it not as an optional extra, but as an essential part of your learning journey. Even if it's just 5 minutes a day, or 15 minutes 3 times a week, make it non-negotiable. Schedule it, just like you would an important appointment. Because speaking is the goal, and it must be prioritized. Now, what kind of practice are we talking about? There are different levels, and it's good to mix them up. First, there's controlled practice. This is where you work with very specific structures. For example, if you just learned a new grammar point, like the present perfect, you might take a list of simple sentences and deliberately change them into the present perfect. Or you might practice answering specific questions using a particular tense. It's structured, it's safe, and it helps you get comfortable with new forms. Then, we have semi-controlled practice. Here, you have a bit more freedom. Maybe you describe your daily routine using specific vocabulary you've learned. Or you look at a picture and describe what's happening, trying to use a variety of tenses. You have a general topic or a framework, but you're creating your own sentences and expressing your own thoughts within that framework. This is where you start to bridge the gap between learning rules and applying them. And finally, the most exciting part, is free practice. This is where you just talk. It could be with a language partner, a tutor, or even just talking to yourself in English. Describe your dreams, discuss a movie you watched, tell a story about your day. Here, the focus isn't on perfect grammar or vocabulary, but on getting your message across, on fluency, on just letting the words flow. This is you, finally, swimming freely in the deep end, feeling the joy of movement. The key is consistency. Small, regular doses of practice, across these different types, will do far more for your spoken English than intense, sporadic study sessions. Remember, you're training your brain and your mouth to work together. It takes gentle, persistent repetition, like softly shaping clay until it becomes a beautiful, functional pot. So, we've talked about the importance of consistent practice, getting into the water and actually swimming. But even when we understand this, there's often something that holds us back, something that keeps us from truly diving in and trying. This brings us to reason number 4, the fear of making mistakes. This is such a common and deeply felt obstacle for so many English learners. You might have the vocabulary, you might understand the grammar, and you might even have a practice partner ready to go. But when it's your turn to speak, a little voice inside your head whispers, "What if I get it wrong?" And sometimes, that whisper becomes a shout, silencing you completely. This fear often comes from our past. Perhaps in school, mistakes were seen as failures, something to be corrected harshly, or even punished. We were taught that language had strict rules, and deviating from them meant you were wrong. This rigid approach can build a deep-seated anxiety around errors, making us feel embarrassed or ashamed when we stumble. It fosters a negative mindset where every error feels like a personal flaw, rather than a natural part of learning. Perfectionism also plays a big role here. The desire to speak perfectly from the very beginning, which is an impossible standard for anyone learning a new skill. But what if we could shift our perspective? What if we could reframe what a mistake actually is? Instead of saying to yourself, "That was wrong," try saying, "That's not quite right, yet." Or even better, "That's an interesting way to say it. How can I adjust it to be clearer?" This subtle change in language can be incredibly powerful because it removes the harsh judgment and opens up space for growth. It moves you from a place of self-criticism to a place of gentle curiosity. Think about it. When a baby learns to walk, they fall down thousands of times. Do we call those falls mistakes? No, we see them as part of the process, as experiments, as necessary steps toward walking. Every stumble teaches them something about balance, about their body, about gravity. Your language learning journey is no different. Every time you try to say something and it doesn't come out perfectly, it's not a mistake, it's a sign of effort. It's a sign that you are pushing your boundaries, experimenting, and actively engaging with the language. It's a sign that you are brave enough to try. So, the solution here is to cultivate self-kindness. Be your own best friend and cheerleader. When you notice yourself making an error, don't get angry or frustrated. Instead, acknowledge it gently, perhaps make a mental note, and then celebrate the fact that you spoke, that you tried, that you put yourself out there. View these, not quite right, moments as valuable data points, telling you where to focus your attention next. They are stepping stones, not stumbling blocks. The more you allow yourself to experiment without fear of judgment, especially from yourself, the more naturally your speaking will flow and develop. We've explored how a fear of making mistakes can hold us back, that quiet voice telling us to stay silent. But sometimes, even when we push past that fear, another hurdle appears, one that can be even more insidious: a profound lack of self-belief. This is reason number 5. You might have started your English journey with such enthusiasm, feeling every small step forward. But as you move into the intermediate stages, things can feel different. You might start to notice all the things you don't know, rather than all the things you do. This is often where confidence begins to wane, and that initial spark of self-belief starts to flicker. One of the biggest culprits here is comparison. In our interconnected world, it's so easy to see others' progress. We scroll through social media, read about someone achieving their dream IELTS band score, or hear a friend speaking incredibly fluently after what seems like a short time. And then, we look at ourselves, and we think, why am I not there yet? Why am I not as good as them? This comparison is a thief of joy and a destroyer of confidence. It makes you feel like you're constantly falling short, even when you're making significant progress on your own unique path. The solution to this is deeply personal, and it starts with a conscious decision. Stop comparing yourself to others. Your journey is yours alone. Their background, their learning style, their circumstances, they are all different from yours. Their progress is not a reflection of your worth or your potential. The only person you should ever compare yourself to is your past self. Look back to where you were a month ago, 3 months ago, a year ago. What could you not do then that you can do now? What new words have you learned? What sentences can you form more easily? Celebrate your progress, no matter how small it seems. Building self-belief is like building any other skill. It takes consistent, intentional effort. Break down your larger goals into tiny, achievable steps. Maybe your goal is to speak English confidently. Break it down. This week, I will learn 3 new phrases and use them in a sentence. Or, today, I will listen to 5 minutes of an English podcast without looking up any words. Each time you achieve one of these small goals, acknowledge it. Give yourself a quiet pat on the back. These little victories accumulate, slowly, gently, building a foundation of confidence brick by brick. Confidence isn't something you either have or you don't. It's a muscle you train. The more you put yourself in situations where you use English, the more comfortable you become. Even if it's just speaking to yourself in the mirror, or narrating your day silently in English, every act of engaging with the language, however small, strengthens that confidence muscle. Remember, you are capable. You are learning. And you are making progress, one gentle step at a time. We've covered 5 key reasons why your spoken English might feel stuck, from motivation to self-belief. But before we wrap up, I want to share a bonus tip, something that often gets overlooked when we're so focused on the technical aspects of language. This tip is about shifting your focus from just language to asterisk communication. Think about it. When we're learning English, especially for exams or general improvement, we often become intensely focused on getting every single word right, every grammar point perfect. We worry about verb tenses, article usage, the exact preposition. And this is good, of course, when you are studying. When you are alone, perhaps reviewing your notes, or doing exercises, focusing on accuracy is absolutely vital. That's the time to zoom in, to analyze, and to build that solid linguistic foundation. However, a big mistake many learners make is bringing this same intense, accuracy-focused mindset into real-life conversations. You might be speaking with someone, and in your mind, you're correcting every potential mistake, searching for the perfect synonym, or agonizing over whether to use in or on. This internal monologue can be so loud that it drowns out the very essence of what you're trying to do. Connect with another human being. Real communication, especially in spontaneous conversation, isn't just about perfect grammar and an expansive vocabulary. It's about conveying your message, expressing your thoughts and feelings, and building a connection with the person you're speaking to. It's about being understood, and understanding others. When you are in a real conversation, the focus should gently shift from accuracy to fluency and connection. It's okay if a sentence isn't perfectly structured. If the other person understands your meaning, you have succeeded. Consider the elements of truly good communication. It goes far beyond just the words themselves. It involves your voice. Is it confident? Is it clear? Is it loud enough to be heard easily? Think about your intonation and stress patterns. Do they convey your emotions and emphasize the important parts of your message? Sometimes, just a slight change in how you say a word can completely alter its meaning or impact. And then there's body language. Our gestures, our posture, our facial expressions, they speak volumes, often more powerfully than words alone. A warm smile, direct eye contact, a nod of understanding, or even just open, relaxed posture can instantly make your communication more engaging and effective. These nonverbal cues help you connect with your listener, build rapport, and ensure your message lands well. Ultimately, effective communication is about presence. It's about being fully there, engaged with your listener, and allowing yourself to express who you are, not just what words you know. So, my bonus tip is this. Practice accuracy when you're alone, when you're studying. But when you step into a conversation, try to release that need for perfection. Instead, embrace the flow, focus on connecting, and allow yourself to communicate freely, genuinely, and with your whole self. Your English will not only improve, but your interactions will become much richer and more rewarding. So, we've covered a lot today, haven't we? It's been a journey through some of the most common reasons why our spoken English can sometimes feel, well, stuck. We started by looking at low motivation how seeing English as a burden can drain your energy. The solution, we discovered, is to find the joy in it again, perhaps by connecting with others, setting exciting goals, or even treating yourself to a new course that sparks that passion. Then we moved on to bad study methods realizing that simply memorizing lists or isolating grammar rules isn't enough. We talked about the 3-step method, immersing yourself in context then zooming in to study details, and finally zooming out to see how it all fits back into natural language. It's all about active discovery and practice. Our third point was not enough practice the idea that you can study all day long, but until you actually use the language, it won't become fluent. Just like reading a book on swimming won't make you a swimmer. We discussed the importance of consistent, scheduled practice, treating it as a non-negotiable appointment, and using controlled, semi-controlled, and free practice to truly activate what you've learned. Next, we tackled the pervasive fear of making mistakes. This can hold so many of us back, turning us silent when we most want to speak. But we reframed those mistakes as simply not quite right, seeing them as signs of courage and experimentation, rather than failures. Remember to be kind and supportive to yourself through this process. And finally, we addressed the quiet but powerful issue of lack of self-belief. It's so easy to compare ourselves to others, especially at intermediate levels, and feel like we're not progressing. The key here is to stop those comparisons, focus on your own unique journey, and build your confidence with small, consistent achievements. Confidence, after all, is a skill you can absolutely train. And don't forget our bonus tip, to shift your focus from just language, to communication. While accuracy is important when you're studying alone, in real conversations, the true magic happens when you prioritize fluency and genuine connection. Remember to use your voice, intonation, body language, and presence to convey your message fully. So, if you felt stuck, please know this. It's very likely not because your English is inherently bad, or because you're not capable. It's often because your mindset, your methods, your motivation, or your habits simply need a gentle reset. By shifting your focus toward joy, embracing consistent practice, building your confidence, and focusing on true communication, your spoken English will begin to grow naturally, beautifully, and sustainably. Keep going. You're doing amazing. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If this episode helped you, even in a small way, I would be so grateful if you liked, subscribed, or left a kind comment sharing your thoughts or a topic you'd love for us to discuss next time. It truly helps me reach more learners like you. Until next time, keep speaking, keep learning, and keep being wonderfully you. Goodbye for now.